Hey everybody, we have a few little technical details I just need to sort out very quickly, but if everyone could just say hi really quick while I do that, it would be much appreciative.
I love my default expression.
Hello everybody. Hi.
Howdy y'all.
Hi.
Should have gone with howdy. Gosh.
I love our face. I love our facial
Sometimes in a little country.
Everyone's all frozen. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was already said, but yeah, everyone's frozen.
Yeah, but I love our default expressions.
Yeah,
really?
I do apologize for everyone. The problem I had was that the program we're using, which we'll rename nameless for the video conference, died on me a little bit, and its name changed, and so all the settings I just spent all that time doing, I now have to redo. So I'm going to slowly add everyone into the scene.
Oh.
So say hi, everyone.
Hi everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Let's see, what constellations are my portrait? Oh, I see myself again.
Oh, what's going on here? Button is oh no, it's shift.
So,
No, alt.
how are people feeling? Is everyone feeling pretty hyped for the session?
Indeed I am.
I am hoping this is not the second reoccurrence of me talking some good trash at someone to then end up in the dirt.
I don't think it's going to be me that's going to step in to save you this time, though, Culture.
I mean, don't get drunk. Remember, you've got a girl on a horse to help you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Be on fire.
Yes, I am hoping that the teenager will show up and save me from myself.
What about Johan?
Depends on how crazy I want Johan to get. However, once they start messing with me, he gets pretty
This is
defensive.
a diplomatic mission. Should we really set off with a fire-breathing dog? That doesn't seem like a good first step.
It's like, excellent opinion. Now for my retort, my dog will burn down the building.
Yeah, I don't think we're either gonna end up arrested by the guards next to someone.
Hey,
Or we're
hey.
gonna
They weren't doing anything before. What makes you think
Yeah.
they're going to do anything now?
because you drew attention to them. Well, all I know is I'm gonna just buckle down on being a senile old priest, so no one worry.
I'm just an old man. All right, this checks out. Move along.
Something we should discuss, I guess, was you've mentioned, Avis, the possibility of disconnecting the diplomat, like, from the main group. Is that something you'd want to do? Because if so, I'm buying the kingdom. Like, let's do it.
It might be a good idea to like separate our activities as a group from our bids regarding the kingdom. Just because it lets us
Like,
operate with the other party, so I'm worried about the legal complications.
Because the mission given by him was not necessarily like to buy it, as like to either fix what the problem is or stop, like make sure that if anyone is buying it, like Marcus stays in control. Because it's not really buying a kingdom, it's a like who's going to give them the cheapest loan, is that right? Like,
Wait. Is this gonna be like in all the Assassin's Creed games where you start off with, you know, a rundown hole and you stand in front of a building or throw money at it and all of a sudden you can buy stuff from it?
Yep. Actually, what I would suggest is that we do what we did with, oh god, spoilers. Okay, anyway, I suggest we stick to the cell structure, because that way we can engage in we can not have to choose whether to buy or do other things. We can have both the buying bid going on and completely independently function around our activities of the other parties.
We could put
So
on a
did
show.
you- Sorry?
What?
We could put on a show so great that we get the whole kingdom inspired to buy itself.
How big is this circus we can cover a country?
Just
landing okay, guys?
I can see you fine.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so how small is this kingdom if a single circus can simultaneously perform across the entirety of it at once?
It's not the size, Avis, it's how you use it.
Unfortunate.
My friend was just saying that we sound good on the Twitch stream. He's not logged in, but he was listening.
Nice. Are we still audio
He's
live?
gonna check levels. He's gonna watch the replay because he has to be up at 4 a.m. in the morning because he flies planes.
Wow.
That is quite unfortunate.
Hey. I'm up at 2 a.m. for this stream.
True, but you're also not in charge of, a very large chunk of metal.
With 400 people on it.
No, not like that.
Alright, let's just keep catching on the reflection. Okay, so since we're waiting anyway, yeah, I was gonna suggest the sell approach to this whole thing.
We have to make sure it's a buyer we like.
Yeah, I figure it's best if we have our bid, but at the same time we can interact independently of the bid with the other parties.
I'm just saying, I like myself. There's no reason why we couldn't be the leaders.
I mean, hear me out, guys. Mahasuchi.
First of all, how wide is his net of influence if he's gonna just travel over several countries? That would be like France buying a random county in northern Scotland. Actually, that would be like buying something in eastern Turkey.
Sorry about that, mother duties.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh my! I can see your explorer window.
Excellent. Somebody's just fed back to us that sounds okay.
That's my friend.
Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
The only question is who was the last speaker? Oh, so I sound broken. Okay, I gotta correct that.
It might be me. I'm sounding broken.
No, because I asked and then they said you.
Oh.
I'm gonna try putting some distance with the mic, see if that fixes it.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience with that long little intro into what I do to get this stream set up for everyone. Everyone's coming through clear. We've had some notes on the sound. Everything seems to be coming through okay. Are the music levels okay, or should they be a bit lower?
Maybe a little bit lower.
A little bit lower?
I mean, it's okay for me, but I could also turn the volume down my end. So
remember,
it's mostly the
you're
people-
hearing it. Have you muted Skype?
Am I?
Because you're
Okay, so our viewer suggests lower.
lower. Okay. Is that better?
Also, it seems like Kel's window is a little feeding into.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's yours.
yeah. There's just a little bit of bars. Okay, so the music's fine now, apparently.
Cool. That was just 5 decibels. Oh, I see what I've done. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, we got another one.
Oh yeah, that's Ismar.
Okay, so we got 3 viewers so far. That's pretty high.
Thanks everyone for coming and watch.
Yay!
Yay!
Okay, so because I was silly and didn't initially set up Twitch to automatically like hold on to my videos after I had done a recording session, which I have now done, the full technical WoW 3 hours worth of our prologue session isn't available, but the cut down version where we start actually playing is, and that's available on YouTube. When we do finish, I do publish them on YouTube immediately. I've got high def recordings and good internet, so I can upload them pretty quickly. So thank you for everyone who's come to join us live, and thank you everyone who's watching us on YouTube. We really do appreciate the views. Just very, very quickly going around the circle, we have myself. I am Elkavash, the storyteller. We are playing Exalted. And that is a game. And I had a little intro down there, but that's because it's come off the chat window already. But essentially, we like to collaboratively storytell. Thank you very much, Plucky, for doing that. Yes, so we're playing a game in the area of the 100 Kingdoms. We have had a little bit of background with the characters already, with some preliminary session. We have done a prologue session, which is available on my YouTube channel if you want to go and have a look at it now. And further, I'll be uploading everything onto the YouTube channel, and I will also be trying to keep things on Twitch as long as possible. In our circle, we have 5 Solars and 1 Dragon-Blooded. The reason we have a nice Dragon-Blooded is because of the rules that Minton and Vance have released just shortly. We're all backers, so we have access to the rules. So first of all, I'll say hello to Keltamer, who is playing Tarala Auric, our Fire Dragon-Blooded. And next to Tarala, we have Paradox playing Golden Heron, our young linguistic specialist. We also have Culture Shock playing Arthur Shasta, who has the hardest to pronounce name and surname, which I'll let Culture demonstrate for everybody.
Rogan V with Sam Vinder, Caller Yiren.
Arthur Shasta is from an area in the south, the southeast, called the Dreaming Sea, and he's one of the Yenin. So he has 1 mother but 10 fathers, and so he's made his last name a collaboration of all of his father's names capped by his mother's surname, which is why it's so verbose. We also have, just below Arthur Shasta and Culture Shock, we have Avis, who is playing Amela De Novo. He's waving hi. Hi. Hi, De Novo. De Novo is soft-spoken, so he may not be talking much, but that reminds me, audience, if you do hear any outrageous clicking from keyboards, please let me know. That is something I've been working on, just trying to dampen. If everyone can just be aware of that. If you are going to be typing, please mute your mics or whatever you need to do. So, continuing the introductions, we've got Vero, or Veru, I don't actually know how to pronounce the French version of that name, playing Sagacious Hand.
It's fine.
Ta-da! And last but not least, we have the wonderful in perpetuity plucky hero playing Kalis Kodan.
Hello, everybody. PM me if you want a link to Kavash's YouTube.
Now, is there anything special we need to say? Oh yes, for those of you who aren't in the know, we have a couple gender-flipped roles here. Vero, who is our only female player, and thank goodness we have at least one, is actually playing a male character. And Paradox, Golden Heron, and Keltamer, Tarala Auric, are both female characters. So just keep that in mind. We're not going to be trying to make weird, high-pitched noises for our voices, because that would be strange. But we do have Kalis Kodan having a very interesting accent, which he's going to be working on, and he's going to wow everyone with, aren't you, Lucky?
Wow. I feel like I'm being attention to here for my accent, which are historically terrible, by the way.
Say no pressure, Lucky, but I think we all pressure.
It's good. Practice makes perfect, and just what's that advice that someone gave you, Jackman? Just play someone who has the accent. Act like you have the accent, and it will come through fine. So that's us. That's the crew. We are playing Exalted 3rd Edition. We are playing in the 100 Kingdoms area, and without much further ado, we might launch into what's known as our last time. Now, the way that we've structured this is that our last times are from an in-universe character named Viridian Sky, who is a very well-known author and has been in circulation for quite a while, the last 18 to 20 years, I think. And her writings just sort of pop up all over the place. No one knows how the distribution works, or if anyone knows, no one is telling. But these pamphlets do arise, and Viridian Sky has a lot of political commentary to throw out there. So our last times will be an edition of this pamphlet called Free Speech, moderated by what is called the Fourth Estate, which people would know as the press and the freedom of speech. It's all very nice and dandy. I'm just going to pause on the music there for a moment while we get down into this. I just need to find the document because I didn't open it first, because I'm silly.
Good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kalis Kodan is a particular fan of these documents that are put out and makes it like a mission to collect them. And he's got quite a nice wad of them like collecting up.
Oh, no.
So.
It was revealed last session that the works of Golden Heron are actually fetching a price on the market.
Yes, they are.
So I certainly hope that Kalis is not using any of Golden Heron's work.
I probably would have.
Golden Heron.
Are you guys using my work as profit? I'm not okay with this.
Have you considered just, I don't know, making these works into cards for children and attaching rarities?
Not even once.
I may be devaluing them. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
Okay, well, I'm okay with that, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so our sessions normally run for 3 hours because we've had a few technical issues and we are about 40 minutes late. And our good friend Kel, because we're from 3 different. That's something I didn't mention. We're from 3 different corners of the world. So Illuminati confirmed. It's supposed to be upside down because we've got London, not London, England. Because it's the same place, really. It's just an island with one city on it. We've got the Americas. We've got a couple of people from America proper, well, the United States, should I say, and a couple of people from one person from Canada, or 2.
I'm not in Canada, though, at the moment. I'm in New York.
There you go.
Hey.
And we have myself and Vey both in Australia. So this is a nice little difficult to organize meetings, so we only have a 3-hour gap, so we usually try to keep it as concise as possible. We won't be having a session next week, unfortunately, because some of our players won't be available. But luckily for us, Kel Tamer, who usually sets our limit on time, has some more time tomorrow, so we can go a little bit over time if we need to. So thank you very much for bearing with us through the beginning a little bit. And without further ado, free speech. Somewhere in creation, a pen scratches hastily against a parchment page. No one knows who Viridian Sky is, but they seem to have a vast network of intrigue. These pamphlets show up in the most unlikely places, somehow shepherded there through the winds of fortune, fate. Who really knows? Maybe the stars could tell us at some point. But these editions seem to be released real time. As events start to unfold, new editions are being written. As more information comes to light, new editions are being churned out and made available across the world in a strange and fantastic way. There are many governments who've tried to suppress free speech and the Fourth Estate, but unfortunately for them, Viridian Sky has proven more wily than any of them could possibly have predicted. And so these pamphlets are in massive circulation, even throughout the realm. They're banned, of course. They are considered anathema, and it is the highest of treason to be found carrying or distributing these particular pamphlets. God. But the latest edition, which our crew stumbles upon as they are passing, they're in the middle of doing a 2-week journey from their base of operations, to a kingdom named Kaldor. They've been sent here by an Exalt named Unsure Root of the Thrice Posed Question, in his self-proclaimed duty to bring balance to the 100 Kingdoms and the threat that Vanaha poses in the south. They've been sent here because Kaldor has lately been in decline, and the good King Alexander Marcus seems to have been making some rather strange and odd decisions of late, which is leading the kingdom towards ruin. And this would be bad, because Kaldor, a once fertile and verdant kingdom, also is supposed to stand as the bulwark against the hordes, either barbarians, Vanaha. It even once repelled the realm in an invasion over 2 decades ago. So, trundling down the marketplace, this great procession of these enormous mechanical wonders. An enormous elephant as it sort of strides along, 60 feet tall, 30 feet tall, and 60 foot long. Followed behind it is an enormous tortoise. Sorry, I was about to say turtle. No, it's a tortoise. But its shell is that of it's shaped like a nautilus shell instead. Behind that comes a giant mechanical spider. And behind that, an enormous mechanical Kirin, with the head of a dragon, the body of a deer, and the scales of a serpent. And behind that is an enormous crane walking on two legs, its wings occasionally spreading, not capable of flight yet, but certainly forming the tail end of the procession. These 5 wondrous things are the most well-known attractions of the ebullient Excelsior, a travelling circus of sorts, led by the audacious, sagacious Hand, has been travelling the river provinces for the last 15 to 20 years, and slowly but surely its influence has been spreading. There is a train of 50 extra caravans, 2 stories high each, large and elaborate stylings. Each one fit accommodation for another 50 or so to people or so. All told, this entire procession is 1,000 strong. Each one of them a performer, an artisan, or a family member of one of those two. It's like an enormous moving army, except it bears no weapons, except those used in its performances. And wherever it goes, it offers free access to all of its attractions. If you want to spend some money on merchandise, then there is plenty to go around. So one day, as this troop is marching along, they stop into a village. On the way to Caldor, they start putting on their performance. And after their performance is over, and the performers leave their tent and go down to bed for the night, everyone finds on their pillow a pamphlet. Free speech. Headed by the white crane, crested by the large red aura of what could be a setting sun. This edition titled, How Do You Find Balance Between Virtue and Vice? Of all the sins of excess, hunger is the least forgivable in every culture I have seen. Hunger for anything. For food, sex, power, education, even love. If we have desires, we are expected to conceal them, to control them, to keep ourselves in check, as a strong mind is a temple of temperance. This includes restraint from retaliation in the form of non-violence and forgiveness, restraint from arrogance in the form of humility and modesty, restraint from excesses such as splurging heedlessly in the form of prudence, restraint from excessive anger or craving in the form of calmness and self-control. Yet, moderation does not mean suppression or repression. This misconception strains the soul in a yearning for fairness and justice, a true virtue to ascribe. Many have lashed out in rebellion against such ideas wrongly imposed upon them. We last spoke of caricatures, and none other springs to mind than one who has dominated his own stage for the past 2 decades. It is, of course, I come now to the much-anticipated Admiral of Mirage, the Minister of Mischief, Commander of Charm, Prime of Prestige, the Shogun of Shenanigans, the Emperor of Illusion, the illustrious escapee, the audacious, sagacious Hand. Audacious, gracious, flirtatious, bodacious, tenacious, vivacious, loquacious, good grief! It is as if he is in competition with every noble in the annals of history combined, to exceed their length of monikers and pseudonyms, and thus cease all questioning into his nature through exhaustion and sheer lack of breath to continue. The specificities of his title vary between locales as frequently as the acts within the ebullient Excelsior do. He is quite literally the poster child for intemperance and indulgence, having his image in travelling show pamphlets in every town within the Confederate of Rivers. Little is known about Sagacious Hand other than his first appearance in Lookshy in Realm Year 748. He gained popularity with his exceptional skill at storytelling, juggling, singing, instruments. The list of his accomplishments is almost as long as his self-proclaimed titles. The only information of note is that the boy was an orphan, and yet has somehow managed to make it from one side of the Riverlands to the other, completely alone and unmolested by bandits, slavers, or even a stubbed toe. He has been questioned by authorities, but due to privacy restrictions of the Fourth Estate, my source on this information will remain concealed. I do, however, have permission to print a single quote. Sagacious Hand. He's the most honest idiot I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and an utter waste of my time as, redacted. He managed to pilfer my coin purse, hat and boot buckles, only to grin like a madman at the joy of having succeeded at the challenge. I admit I was about to beat the thieving lad senseless, but found he'd also managed to slip his own restraints and affix it to me own wrists. Fast as lightning, that kid. He switched it all back again with the bloody audacity to leave a note in my coin purse thanking me for the opportunity to test out redacted level guardian locks. A gold coin, too. A note and a blasted tip for the pleasure of an hour in a cell. Bleeding mad, I tell you. Theories abound on the source of the boy's outstanding luck, but all inquiries have led to the same conclusion that some people are just blessed by the heavens themselves. Which brings us to the point of this edition. Why was Sagacious Hand in the Excelsior so recently a nexus? The performer's main source of popularity sprang from the Thorn's advance towards the River Province, culminating in the Battle of Mishaka in Realm Year 754. Performing the work as one of the realm's representatives, he was constantly falling over and double-tuck rolling about on the stage. He brought an absolute mockery of the idea of the realm as an equal to the Riverlands, and played up the obnoxiousness of their invoked superiority. His most recent work, however, has featured another performer, a Jade Phoenix Soul, taking over the role of Empress that he himself has played for most of his career. Such a burning question. Why? The act itself in Nexus was promoting a battle between the Empress, a representative from the might of the realm, and the gladiatorial pit fighter named Kalis Kodan, a representative of the strength and honor of the Riverlands. Once again, the anti-imperialist sentiment is clear, and the crowds were left stunned and amazed by the acrobatic displays of the prestigious newcomer and the enticement of more to come. However, after said performance, more than a dozen members of the pit have had their contracts of employment transferred to Sagacious Hand, right around the time the pamphlets detailing the illicit activities of the major player in the underground fighting rings had been distributed by the Golden Heron. Please refer to edition 35 for more information. It seems more than a coincidence that Sagacious Hand had managed to snap up the highly lucrative contracts of several skilled performers from businessmen who, without question, would not have parted with such assets. From pits to parties and brawls to ballads, there certainly has been no complaints. The chaos left in the wake of Golden Heron has kept the managerial staff too preoccupied for any sort of retaliation for what could be interpreted as a deliberate and coordinated strike at the pits. However, this level of deliberate hostility against any other organisation is completely out of character for Sagacious Hand, as previous testimony can state. The Ebullient Excelsior does not need to undercut other contracts. The organisation is not short-handed. So why the interest in the pits? What has Sagacious Hand gained in Nexus that he could not have gained in any other city? Why is another performer frontlining? Who is Jade Phoenix Soul? A business partner? Or lover being shown nepotism? Is Jade Phoenix Soul and Golden Heron one and the same? The Fourth Estate can't answer any of these questions in this edition, dear reader, but we are certainly asking them when no one else seems to be. It is said by the common folk that he is a hero, bringing joy and colour to an otherwise monotonous world, for no reward. No perceived monetary value, perhaps. Tickets are free after all, but the shows clearly fund his own ego, and the grandeur grows, and he's strutted about for display every season with utter shamelessness. It is, in a word, glorious. He represents unsuppressed freedom. How terrifying. Though played with arrogance, perhaps confidence, and vainglory, or perhaps pride, he has directed all his energy into doing good works and continually strives to be the best version of himself. This is no easy task for anyone, yet he applies himself to such a task in the face of adversity, passionately smashing the expectations of those who would wish to see him fail. He is using his extraordinary skill set to bring hope to the helpless in the only way he knows how. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. One should be aggrieved at excess and indulgence, but not by his lack of moderation. caged for so long, it is understandable for one in society to throw off the shackles of such an unjust and intemperate world. Let the light sagacious hand shines illuminate your heart and lay bare your own desires to scrutiny, as nothing we despise in other men is inherently absent from ourselves. We must learn to regard people less in the light of what they do or don't do, but why such choices are made by using the mirror of empathy. Is sagacious hand good or bad? As I once wrote, such questions serve no purpose. The better question is if he is virtuous. Most definitely. To excess at times, it seems, and perhaps one day to a lack of such, as the pendulum of choice and life's swing he will adjust, as we all must, accordingly. Studying his deeds and thus thrust into the spotlight of our scrutiny, it allows us to ask such questions of our own actions, virtues, and desires, and our own trials we must overcome to be that which we would value, our ideal self. Let no one intimidate you, for you are standing on no one's ground. Some have claimed the earth as their own and taken power from the rest of us, but they are usurpers. But the power of choice belongs to every one of us. Seek it as much as possible. There is no shame in that. In fact, it's a necessity. Dare to believe and fight for the ideal that right makes might, and not the oppressive reverse that has fueled past tyrannies. Here and now, institutions that claim to act in the public interest must face daily scrutiny of their actions as much as an individual might. They must be called to account when overstepping the bounds of what citizens will support, or when taking actions that are clearly not in our interests. However, a warning to the illustrious Emperor. You are an institution unto yourself. Now. And you will be judged as harshly as you have done others in the past. Can your pride handle the mirror turned upon yourself? In conclusion, dear readers, I suggest we all reflect upon that question, the most important one of all. How does one find balance? And indeed, should we? Viridian Sky. Done. Finito. Finished.
Well, I don't know about you, says Sagacious Hand, waving one of the pamphlets excitedly, but I read Intelligent Execution. I think this needs to go on a wall somewhere.
We're just fixing up Shock's video once more. There we go. He's back in.
Can you guys see me again?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Got a bit of a double reverb though, so remember to turn off the Skype.
Yep, it's muted now. Thank you.
Excellent. So, does anybody have any thoughts or feelings about that?
Well, the noble's gonna clear his throat and comment. This one seems to say a lot about pride, but I can't see nothing but pride in his or her writings.
I'm a
Really?
little bit.
I'm reading nothing but revolutionary tones of usurpers and right-making might. I like
And
it.
revolution. The thing about what is a revolutionary if not someone so prideful that they believe that they're the only ones with the correct answers for the world?
Ooh, am I a revolutionary? Fantastic, I'll add it to my list of introductions.
A revolutionary against sense, perhaps.
The rambunctious revolutionary. I love it, thank you.
It is a easier to say title than this paragraph here.
Not that you should ditch the paragraph. It's wonderful for the starts of shows.
Now, this of course has taken place prior to the end of our prologue session.
Kalis stares blankly at the piece of paper and then points to the top. And with a smile on his face, shows off the heron. Have you seen this?
Who are you speaking to?
Seen what?
He's just announcing it to the room, whoever is there, like just generally commenting on it, feeling the need that the people are discussing this mysterious parchment, but feeling he has very little to add himself, as he's not really sure how this simple decorated piece of parchment has triggered such a stirring of conversation, but he doesn't want to be left out of it.
Sagacious Hand would have read it out to Kalis, emphasizing all the dramatic points, such as apparently Jade Phoenix Soul and Golden Heron. There's a rumor that they are perhaps the same person. That's fascinating. So the question would be to Golden Heron: do you wish this to continue? Do you want to contact this woman or man, or like, it's? Do you want to know? Do you want an interview? Do you want a show? Do you want a show? Heron, do you want a show?
Do I want a show? Oh.
Do you want a show?
We're doing a show? What show are we doing?
You, Heron.
Me? Oh, but
You're famous! And apparently they think Golden Heron is Jade Phoenix Soul. Two fantastic birds, so... Would you like to separate yourselves or continue the illusion?
Well, if I performed, wouldn't that just reveal that I'm in your troupe? Oh God, I haven't thought this through.
Like, are you in my troupe? But I don't know. This is all very exciting, isn't it?
I'm not exactly a performer.
No, but you're a brilliant writer.
I mean, like, I haven't really written any novels yet. I wouldn't even know what to do. What would I perform? Would I just like read on a piece of paper? Would I do my calligraphy? I could do some calligraphy. I don't really know if that's a performance thing though.
Have you considered... Have you considered the stories which you write? So perhaps, and he gestures to Kalis and Taralis, or to Jade Phoenix Soul. Have you considered perhaps writing something for us to perform?
I could try, but I don't know if I want to put my face to the name Golden Heron.
That's fine.
I mean,
I'm just asking questions. Like, you don't need a face. That's what's wonderful. Like, do you want your name out there?
I didn't think this through, and I signed everything, did I? Oh God, I didn't think. I mean, why is my name on plant flips all over the place? Why am I famous? Why is my work going for so much money? That wasn't the point. This was not the purpose. I feel very uncomfortable right now.
This is not what I wanted. This is not what I planned. I do not understand.
I just wanted to reveal all the atrocities going on. I didn't. Oh God.
Sagacious Hand strides across and puts his hands on both of her shoulders. Breathe. Deep breath. And exhale. Excellent. See? Deep breath in. And through the hand. And perfect story.
Give me like 2 seconds to double check what my charms do exactly. But
for those at hand, the infamous moose hand is for delineating between in-character and out-of-character speak, if the two occur very close to each other. Now, I don't actually want to linger on this too long because we do have.
It's all good. I just wanted to double check if it was just copying fast or writing fast. Give me like, I don't know, how long would it take me to write up a play? And I can do it super quickly, and the duration of this charm varies. It's technically instant, but I can totally write you up a play.
In character, that would.
Sorry. This is GM questions. My apologies.
It would depend on the type of play you're making. There's no sort of set rules, so however grand it was going to be, a 2-act play. Well, you would certainly be able to get it done within the next week as you're heading towards Kaldor.
What if I was using method? Like 30 minutes, an hour?
Whirling Brush, that decreases it by an interval equal to your essence, as I understand.
Written down that the variation date varies, and it starts at instant for a page.
Can I chime in here?
Yo.
What it does mention, I believe, in the literacy, like linguistics tree about it, is that it can speed up the writing of something, but the actual development of the content and stuff will take time, and that's separated out from the speed in which you can put that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I need a week.
Material. So,
it doesn't have to be a good way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're writing down just literally what comes to mind, as monkeys with a typewriter might do, then it's at the speed of, how fast you can write it down. If you want it to have any sort of inside mind working over the picking of choice of words and how they come together, that may take longer. Sorry for the interruption, folks.
That's okay. For things like this is where we normally engage with the craft system, except I'm pretty sure you're not terribly interested in going too far into craft, as I understand. Is that a no?
I wasn't aware I needed craft for writing plays, to be honest.
Well, for the creative side of things.
Okay, I hear you.
To create the play, and then you would use your linguistic skills to write it out very, very quickly, rather than sort of like writing it as a stream of thought. As you're creating it, you're writing it out, and that's what your linguistics would allow you to do. What I would probably suggest is, do you want this to be particularly good quality, or are you interested in that? Is there any value in us engaging in a system here, or should we just say it takes you about a week and you write it out and it's ready?
I think taking about a week is totally fine and dandy. I was just gonna maybe give a light stunt on like the topics and whatnot.
If you wanted to do something in particular, like if you want to laden it with influence in some way, then I'd get you to roll. But if you're not interested in that and all you want to do is have a play written by you, then I would just hand wave that.
Make a play over a week.
Okay, I'll just hand wave the roll then, because there's no sense, just for the viewers at home, I'm of the belief there's no sense involving mechanics where they're not really necessary. So in this particular case, there's no tension in failure or exceptional success. So we'll just hand wave it and say it takes about a week. So the troop has travelled, as I mentioned, to Kaldor. What I might actually do is slowly read through the intro that we spoke about in the prologue, just so that everyone who is just coming in now has an idea of where we are and what we are doing. The group is accompanied by a diplomat by the name of Righteous Lotus, who has been sent with them to Kaldor. The situation in Kaldor is that a summit has been called by Kaldor's king, King Alexander Marcus. It appears not so much that the kingdom is up for sale, but that he is running low on resources. He has been apparently assigning resources in a rather inefficient and haphazard way, resulting in disaster for his kingdom in several different ways. So they've been sent to basically make sure that no one else particularly takes advantage of Kaldor in this weakened state, because as far as Root is concerned, if Kaldor falls or if Marcus is dethroned, then the stability in the region will be massively adversely affected. So I'm going to go over my grey text again. So you would have heard this last session if you listened to the YouTube video. Otherwise, this would be the first time hearing it. If anyone does want to interrupt me, just give me a quick moose hand, because I will be looking at your portraits if you want to interject something that you want your character to do while I'm in grey text mode. So the Kingdom of Kaldor, and if you give me one moment. This is a moose hand. The Kingdom of Kaldor spans the breadth of the craggy foothills of the Decian Mountains a few miles north of the capital. Mostly farmlands and lodges, Kaldor gains its wealth from foodstuffs and lumber, though your vantage from the stone road tells a land fallen on hard times. The grasses have become less prevalent, the muddy slush of a churning topsoil spreading further afield, the trees shedding their canopies a full season before the autumnal fall. Following the road north, you pass several abandoned homesteads, the simple buildings fallen into disrepair. Yes, Kalis Kodan.
Can't hear.
Oh, right, sorry, that wasn't moose hand for me. Apologies. Even those few that still had living occupants were dilapidated, the peasant folk packing what meagre belongings they had held on to and beginning their long journey north along the broken paths. Watchtowers dot the length of the route, and they also stand empty. No longer constantly manned or tended to, they have become home to the carrion birds and other scavengers, their mottled feathers indicating that even they lack the sustenance to survive for much longer. This road you've been asked to walk is a 2-week journey from Lambert Heights, the place you've been calling home for the last year and a bit, and sheltered by unsure root of the thrice-posed question. As an exalted of one of the many gods of law and wisdom, Root has found the wealth and opportunity to set up camp in an old broken-down military fort on the border of Vanaha and the southernmost regions of the 100 Kingdoms. The man was curiosity, scrutiny, and knowledge incarnate. The only thing delaying him in his personally appointed quest for peaceful resolution to the centuries-long conflicts that rocked the region was a lack of personal power or infrastructure, and this is why he decided he needed allies, such as yourselves. Closer to the central town, the castle and seat of power in the kingdom, people roam in larger numbers. The roads are no better here, carts trapped in muddy ruts now abandoned and their cargo dragged off through the moors. Farmland this close is tended constantly, the workers thinned and haggard, but striking the earth with what little strength they have left, scattering seed and sowing cuttings to promote even more growth. Perhaps a futile effort, but the alternative was a useless withering away, and even worn, the people here wear the fierce determination to alter their fates. The smoke of many burning hearths arise above the craggy outcrops that form a natural barrier and shield Kaldor's keep from the marching armies. Rounding the bend, the large town and its stone heart almost explode into view, suddenly revealed by a break in the foothills. It is tucked back into the embrace of sheer cliffs that break into caverns the further you travel towards the mountains that dominate the skyline, their peaks bare, but soon to be tipped with the pure white of winter's snow in the seasons to come, are instead framed by the black smoke rising from the town's chimneys. Banners and heraldic paraphernalia still hang from parapets and iron poles throughout the town and castle, but even in the midst of civilization, they are rugged and dirty. The streets throng with living bodies seeking refuge from the dying countryside, peasants coughing their hardships, wrapped in filth-soaked blankets and coats, assaulted by the ever-present flies and rodents scurrying about so brazenly. As you pass across the threshold marked by the gaping door set into the single stone wall circling Kaldor's keep, you see the first sign of authority for miles. Guards are posted here, casually checking those who wished entry, turning away the more dirty peasants, but doing nothing to stop others who would steal entrance into the sickness-ridden streets. As you are wearing clothes finer than Hessian and are not covered with stinking muck, they let you pass without trouble. Although I will point out that the great machinery of the Abulant Excelsior will not fit through the fort's gateway. As you disembark, set up outside, as I'm assuming, is there somewhere specific you want to set up, Sagacious Hand?
Yes. Plucky Hero and myself were talking that on the journey, Kalis would have been retrieving those wagons that are stuck in the muck, anything that's been left behind by people, to join part of the caravan of our moving train and return them to the village on the way. I don't even think that needs to be a question of whether or not he has the strength to do such a thing, considering I believe we last did a mechanical test. I'm pretty sure he can lift a mammoth. So a couple of carts shouldn't be too much difficulty for him. The Excelsior is going to start setting up almost as soon as we reach a point where we can't get any further through the gates. I'd like to start, the wagons come to a halt. Would our mount, being a couple of elephants, be allowed through to take us the rest of the way on like a pavilion to the castle, or would this is a regular size, not a mechanical size?
Yes, so your beasts of burden, your elephants, they will fit through the gate. They probably can't make it down the narrow streets, but the main promenade that leads from the open marketway, which is directly on the other side of the gate, leading down and across to Cowdwell Keep proper, would allow room for them. Although the area is quite crowded. There's a lot of people thronging about here. Most of them sort of just, sitting about, wrapped around in their haggard and dirty cloaks, like homeless people sort of scattered about on the streets. It looks like a town of refugees almost. The life here isn't quite gone though. Everyone still has, this isn't like, seeing poor people on the streets of Nexus. They haven't given up. They believe that they can be saved, and they trust in their leadership to save them in some way, shape or form. They're just not sure when or how it's going to happen, but they believe it will. Such fires, though, do tend to fade eventually, which is something you'll need to keep in mind. So, continuing a procession on just a couple elephants?
Yeah.
Where would everyone be on these elephants? Is anyone not on an elephant?
Well, as we set up in the prologue, I would actually be on Carathon horse.
I am content to walk.
I'm also walking.
Does anyone wish to disassociate themselves from the Sagacious Hand?
Well, we can't really tell. We're contradicting the tutorial.
I'm sorry, I
Pretty
missed that.
damn nervous about. I'm pretty nervous about putting my face out there at the moment.
I have a quick
Okay.
question for our viewing audience. Does Kel or Tarala seem to be coming in quiet to anybody?
But Ruby, did you try turning him up?
I'm not sure if it's just my Discord or whether it's actually coming through quiet. Thank you very much, Wonderbun. Give me one moment.
So here's the thing: how much mobility do we have? Because we have to kind of end up at where the tutorial left off, right?
Well, yes. Like I'm just trying to establish it for anyone who hasn't seen the prologue, so we know where this is going. I'm just trying to establish the scene for everyone.
Unless Sagacious has any objections, Kalis will be trying to ride up with himself. Feel like their friendship's budding quite nicely, and they seem to have A boyish bromance? Would that be the best way to like laddish?
Brother from another.
Yeah.
Found it.
So, I think that's helped Kalis integrate more into the exuberant Exalted tribe. Is the feeling of kinship that's blossoming between them already so quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got a question, Elk, if I
Yes.
may.
Yes.
How has the ambassador been conducting herself over the couple of weeks? Obviously, I've been helping out with any of her like needs, like gathering water or food for her, or getting people to and from us. That's been the mission my chieftain has assigned to me. But has she kept herself to herself? She like joined in the shows, if you don't mind my curiosity.
She wouldn't join in any of the performances, but she certainly watches them. A Righteous Lotus isn't necessarily standoffish, but initially the thought of traveling with a band of wild performers doesn't suit her sensibilities necessarily. So she's initially sort of not hugely pro the idea, but over time, as she gets to know you, she will warm up just naturally over time. If you want to pay any particular special attention to her, try and build up some intimacies, we can talk about doing that, make some rolls if you like.
Yeah, I think Kalis would definitely like everybody he meets. He tries to become their friend. I feel like he's a very friendly, open character.
Okay, we'll probably resolve that in the break, which will be in about half an hour, just so that we don't sort of bog down the stream, because we are a bit behind time.
Yeah, I'd like to make some rolls there too, so we can we'll get to it.
Okay, we'll handle that in the break while we're looking at things. So as this, so in this particular case, Righteous Lotus is not going to automatically disassociate herself unless you brief her on that idea. She's going to ride in on one of the elephants. She's a diplomat. It's like this is almost literally Prince Ali, fabulous he. You're like, this is quite the procession. Most nobles in the realm don't get this kind of procession, when they're introducing themselves into a kingdom. And Kaldor may be a little bit backwater as far as most people are concerned, but it does hold strategic importance in the 100 Kingdoms, specifically against holding back Vanaha, as Root has advised and explained. And it was the linchpin in knocking back the realm invasion about 2 decades ago. I'm sorry, the players are also chatting in Discord, and it comes up occasionally, and I'll react to it by laughing. I apologize. You don't necessarily see that in stream.
Someone asks
the
me
answer
how
is
many
90.
Camels.
So as this so unless anyone specifically asks her to not associate with the Evelyn's Excelsior.
I would not, unless anyone has any other particular plans. Like, why would you not want to associate with me? I am fabulous. We are fabulous. Let's make an entrance.
Yeah, I'm already trying to think of how to hide my name. Maybe come up with a new name.
Sagacious Hand would have, whilst traveling, absolutely seriously, do you want to remain anonymous? Like, your name is out there, that's not going to go away, but do you want to
Yes.
do you want that privacy?
Yes, I want Golden Heron to be my what's the word? Author name, essentially.
Pseudonym.
Pseudonym?
Pseudonym.
So a different name be Silver Egret.
No, you can just call me Sarah.
Sarah.
Okay, if you
There
want
you
to be boring.
Okay, so
Sarah.
not receiving any specific instructions not to associate with the amulet Excelsior, she rides in on one of the elephants. Now, as you pass the threshold marked by the gaping doors set into the single stone wall circling Caldor's Keep, I've already read this bit. You see the first signs of authority for miles. Guards posted here, casually checking those who wished entry, turning away any more dirty peasants, but doing nothing to stop others who would still entrance into the sickness-ridden streets. As you are wearing clothes finer than the Hessian and are not covered with stinking muck, they let you past without any trouble. Though as you walk directly into the market stalls surrounding the entrance, someone else is causing trouble with no intervention of the guards apparent. A band of 12 armoured warriors mill about the market stalls, none more than a few feet from any other, but all arguing and haggling over prices, resorting to brute force extortion more often than not, and walking away without paying a single ducat for anything they decide worth taking. Now, as we did this in the prologue, pretty much everybody leapt into action in some way, shape, or form. I believe first it with Arthrashasta. So what we might do, for those who are just joining us for this first session, if you wouldn't mind re-describing your action. We've already done all the rolls for this in the interim, and I've worked out how everything's going to resolve. Please throw in a little bit of a description of your character and his pet, his pet, as part of your action here, please. I cannot hear you for some reason.
He's also not moving. Have we lost him?
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, it locked up for a second.
Technical difficulties.
Ooh, that's a mighty fine bookcase you have there.
Sorry, I missed part of that. You asked me to describe myself and
re-describe your action and incorporate a bit of a description of your character, please, for those who are now just joining us.
Arthrashasta is a tall, slender, beautiful man. He has long, flowing hair that starts out dark purple and shades more towards blue at the tips. His eyes are almost like a burnished gold color, like the waters of the sea touched by the sun in the morning. He doesn't trim his fingernails, but nonetheless, they don't look overly long or cracked. He's wearing sort of vibrantly colored underrobes with a heavily patterned overrobe with it. Accompanying him is a large dog-like creature. It has also somewhat fox-like traits, about Rottweiler-sized, vibrant orange in color, and it has a big sort of poofy chest, mane, and tail that follows him everywhere he goes. And after seeing the shameful behavior of these foreigners, Arthrashasta politely reminded them that while aspects of the country are up for sale, it's not free, and no negotiation has been finalized yet. So until then, the rule of law still exists, and they need to pay for that stuff that they just took. But he said it in a rather overly loud way and framed it in trying to shame these people as much as possible through public scorn.
Next up, we had... We'll just go in order. So, Tarala, if you can describe yourselves moving in. Again, please incorporate a bit of a description of your character and your mount, so to speak.
Tarala is young teen girl. She has fantasy figure, gymnast figure, but she is probably the shortest one of the group. But she carries with her a certain composure that she's used to having to stand up straight, as it were. She rides on a very, very beautiful horse. Like, at a glance, you could almost tell it's Marukani. which are fine steeds, like the finest bred, but there is something more to it. Basically to help with Arthashasta's point, she just kind of leans over the mane of her horse and just kind of glares down at them. The hilt of her sword over her shoulder, and she, as she glares, it almost seems like there's a puff of smoke coming from her nostrils as she breathes out on them.
Heron looks distracted. We'll go de novo.
Alright, I have a screaming baby over here.
That's okay. I understand. I also have screaming babies.
Never?
Davis can't hear you.
Oh. I was gonna say the novel is the stereotypical image of a mendicant monk. He has weather-worn robes and traveling gear. The only remarkable things about him are how scarred his face is, the black canister he has hanging from his back, the belt sword he has hanging from his belt, and the fact that his skin is almost metallically bronze. Other than that, he's a fairly tall man who looks well into his 60s. And what he did was that when Afrashasta was challenged, he responded by pointing out that in terms of legitimacy, he was a priest, so he established himself through a role to establish his religious authority onto the crowd, and in a supportive motion of Afrashasta's statement regarding their shameful behavior.
Cool. Next. Geisha's hand. Oh wait, no. Actually, I have to do you last, don't I?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kalis. Can you describe your action?
Standing 10 feet tall, dressed in a very showy gladiatorial robe with the motif of the eastern forests woven in, leaf motifs down his arms and wrists on his braces, with his patergus, his gladiator skirt filled with like grassland, grass cuttings with feathers woven in, his chest accentuated by like bark, abs and muscles to accentuate his own strength. He strides on, knowing that his tribe is what looks to him posturing for maybe conflict. Knowing his previous role well, he takes a small cylindrical device from a strap that was made for him by De Novo. He flicks it out, revealing a 6-foot-long tube, a flute in this case, and he begins playing a stirrings of a battle song that his tribe used to play when they were called to war, to rally the warriors of his tribe to come together and face off whichever threat they encounter. He strides forward with purpose, but a sensual energy as well. His eyes catching the eyes of would-be potential admirers, drawing them into his sensuous and elegant otherworldly beauty as he gracefully strides up with all the confidence of a being that's built of muscle and, all intents and purposes, probably steel or rock. He is very solidly built. He's also bold. I guess in both senses the case in the world. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's great. Now, you were doing a music thing, as I understood.
I am. I'm playing the flute with my artifact. It's can be adjusted and the moved around to loads of useful stuff. he's playing what he hopes to sort of rally the villagers and inspire them to a call to bravery, rallying amongst these people that are set to defend them. But he's also, because he's an experienced performer and has the chance to back it up, he will be also inspiring, instilling an instant attraction to anybody that could possibly feel that way about Kalis as he does so. Using, I believe it's 1,000 courtesans ways.
It is.
Yes. Cool. Heron, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good.
So, as I recall, I was not very successfully trying to persuade, well, maybe successfully, I don't know, I rolled one success, trying to persuade the guards to, be nice and noble like guards are supposed to be, as I've read, and, intervene with this blatant thievery of the citizenry. I didn't quite use those exact words. I think it was more something along the lines of, wouldn't you like to intervene with the commotion over there? I mean, brave guards and stuff. I mean, again, not word for word quote, but Heron. Anyways, you also want a description of me, so Heron. Oh man, let me see if I can do the same description twice. This is why you should write everything down. But I recall I definitely have the vision of long brown hair, not super long, but a little bit past my shoulder, super unkept hair, and in general my appearance is just, unkept. I'm not exactly ugly per se, but I'm not a super great looker. I have pretty plain robes. I don't recall what color they were. Probably brown and black, some combination of brown and black. I'm definitely not someone that tries to, stand out. I notably have a giant oversized book, which I probably struggle to carry around most of the time. Mm-hmm. Unless, of course, when I'm writing things in it, in which case I hold it perfectly in my offhand while writing in my with my strong hand, which I think is my right hand. I never actually thought about that. I'm going with my strong hand's my right hand, and yeah, that's the only time I hold the book perfectly. Otherwise, it's very heavy. I probably stumble here and there.
And your action was to
persuade the guards to go intervene. And I did an excellent charisma presence roll where I rolled one success.
You did. Now, the interesting thing about this scene, the way it's been going on, is there's a certain rhythm of movement and declaration that's going on as Kalis begins to blow those deep and warbling tunes into his flute. It seems to pick up through with the citizenry. It's definitely getting their attention. They start to turn. They start to take notice. They start to show interest.
I see elk hands.
Elk hands? What? Oh, sorry, I got distracted.
No, as in Plucky has moose hands, but we can't hear you, Plucky. You're muted.
Oh, are you going to do your introduced fact, Faye, or are you still planning to do that?
Yes. Okay,
cool.
I was leading into that. Sorry, everyone at home. We've sort of done a little bit of pre-preparation, because my wife is fabulous and insane at the same time. It's picking up through the crowds. Heron has reminded the guards of their duty. These are a proud people. Like, they have discarded the realm previously. Like, the whole reason that Alexander Marcus is in power is because he was a general. Well, not really a general. He rose through the ranks of the military quite quickly. He was initially a farm boy, and he proved himself to be such a capable warrior and a capable leader that he just rose through the ranks out of necessity. and he ended up catching the eye of the princess at the time, and they ended up getting married. So he's married into the royal family, and there were no other heirs apparent. So he is the first of his new lineage. The important thing is that they have pushed out invaders in the past. They have not had tolerance. The reason that the guards have not been intervening up until this point is because technically these people have diplomatic immunity, and the guards have been told not to make any trouble. But that same fire that you've seen through the peasants is here in the eyes of the guards as well. Yes, Hand?
I would like to introduce fact when you are ready.
Go for it.
Okay. Sagacious Hand has a fair amount of lore, his specialty being folklore and streetwise. Before leaving Lambert Heights, I requested for any information on the Caldor region. So what we know of King Marcus is that he married into the royal family, that he is a celebrated hero of the people and drove back a realm invasion, and he is known as the good and kindly King Marcus. I would like to introduce a fact, as Sagacious Hand, before leaving Lambert Heights, asked for any stories and information he could on the region of Caldor. Elkavash said he mostly got geographic surveys and economic maps. So considering this, I would like to draw from one of those maps that showed the moving of wartime boundaries and the position of the front line. I would like to introduce a streetwise fact that is based in a real-life foundation. The now famous "The British are coming" and "One if by land, two if by sea," which was the lantern alarm system used by Paul Revere and a whole lot of other really famous American people, unrelated to the point I'm trying to introduce. It was a system of military intelligence and covert operations during wartime. So I would like to establish that the beat Kalis is playing from his homeland, the one to inspire a rally to courage, is reminiscent of the many early warning systems of Caldor. The rattling of cans, the sweeping of chimneys, the clang of a pot, the whistling through chimes, all innocuous everyday chores, but the collective signal was a covert warning and call to arms that enemies of Caldor were either approaching or in their midst. So my performance is an inspire action of respect, tagging off of this fact I'd like to introduce.
Okay. Well, you're introducing a fact, and this is a system in Exalted 3rd Edition where someone with at least 3 points in lore, which means that they are well learned in a particular area, and either a background, so when you pick up dots in lore, you choose a background that lore is based off, or a relevant specialty, they can introduce facts about the world to be able to influence it in certain ways. They can do this once per scene. And so Sagacious Hand's chosen this scene to introduce this particular fact. I then choose a difficulty. In this particular case, it's quite close to the lines of lore as it has already been established, so I'm going to give this one a difficulty of 1.
Okay.
You would roll intelligence plus lore and any relevant specialty. Your background does not count as a specialty.
Okay.
And 1 point stunt bonus for including the information from earlier.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me 1 minute while I attempt to do that. There we go. Has that come up?
Okay, so the rolling software we're using is called RPBot. Now, in Exalted, when you roll so we roll numbers of D10. In this particular case, Vero Sagacious Hand has a total of 8 dice added from their attribute and their skill, plus any relevant specialty, plus the stunt bonus I gave them. A 1 point stunt gives them plus 2 dice. So their normal dice pool would be 6. They've added 2 for a total of 8. They rolled 8 d10s, and anything 7 or higher, so 7, 8, 9, is 1 success. Any 10s that they roll are 2 successes. Now, unfortunately for us, the RP bot doesn't count 10s as double successes, so we have to count them manually. So as it says, it's 4 times, but I can see that there are 2 10s in there, so there's actually an additional 2 successes, which is 6, which is well above the difficulty that I set. Unfortunately, you don't get anything special for exceeding the difficulty so high. So yes, your fact is established. It is true.
Nice. So this is a well-known beat, a well-known and remembered and crucial beat.
By happenstance.
Yeah, a happenstance. Now, I need to ask Elkavash because the last time we left off this was when it was Sagacious's, as we were going around what each person was going to do, Sagacious Hand intends to slide down the trunk of the elephants, like to the upraised trunk, to do a backflip in the air, to land majestically in front of them, to bow and introduce himself to the bunch of assholes who are deciding to steal from the public. So I have a stunt prepared, but I need to check with Elkvash because part of the Inspire actions, a lot of which is either oration, in which you make a speech, or dance or song. So I have a song with music, and I can't hear anyone anymore. What's happened? Oh. No, I can't hear Elkavash at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can't hear Elkavash.
He might have muted his mic.
No, I still...
It might be that the audio is messing with the preset audio.
I can hear everyone except Elkavash.
Oh dear.
I mean, he's not important in how this works.
My manual
They
microphone
tend to
mute
have
button.
audio.
My manual microphone mute button likes to play tricks on me sometimes. I am sorry. I was trying to
That's
say I can
alright.
hear you just fine.
Okay.
So you have a song with music, do you say?
I do have a song with music.
Would this be something you pre-rehearsed with Kalis? Will Kalis change his song up slightly to do your intro?
No, I am actually going straight off your beat. And the happenstance of the beat that you have used is introduce fact powers, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this has turned out okay, because I was terrified of, singing on live camera. So I said, could I get some help, Elk?
Yes, I have an audio file to play. I am just in the middle of trying to find it because some of my programs have a habit of saving things not where I wanted them to go.
Apologies for the sound of the little Velklings in the background. They're having a wonderful time playing with a Nerf gun.
We are such nice parents sometimes.
Yeah, let them fire on each other. So, yes, Sagacious Hand is taking this moment to slide down the trunk of the elephant, to do an acrobatic backflip in the air, to land and join the others in their in his disregard of their choices that this group seems to be making regarding the citizens of Caldor. And he's making a scene.
Okay, so a quick note for our viewers and anyone who is listening. This song is proprietary something? What's the word? I forget now. Proprietary property of Disney, I'm pretty sure. But Vey has basically remixed it a little bit, and they have and she has changed up the words to be relevant. So I'm just putting that out there. The attribution will be in the doobly-doo below as you start coming on right now. And
shall I link sync or just sit here slightly embarrassed but excited?
why don't you fully describe his entrance so that we can get a good image while this song is playing?
All right. As Johan has moved forward and Tarala is also making shows of intimidation, De Novo asserting their authority, Golden Heron has gone to fetch the guards. Kalis playing this song of a call to courage and a call to arm. Sagacious Hands, arms out, slides down the trunk of the elephant to backflip in front of the group of 12 to then click his fingers, and some of the musicians and bands, that the group of performers that are getting set up start. You can hear more instruments being brought in, picking up on the beat.
This band is used to improvising, and they strike up a tune.
Sagacious Hand is going to holler loudly but beautifully to get everyone's attention. Performance 5, as loud as I can.
One minute I'm playing in Great Forks. Now I'm up standing in your street. So don't just stand around and gawk. Join the syncopated beat. Alright, I'm streetwise. I can improvise. You're street smart. You've got Caldor City heart. Why should we worry? Why should we care? You may not have any silver, but here's the Excelsior. Put down your worries, hang up your cares. It's not a minor distraction. We're the Excelsior. The rhythm of the city. Boy, once you had this down, your courage won this town. So Marcus, where's the crown? Why should you worry? Tell me, why should you care? They'll try to rob you blind, oh, but you've got virtue to spare. Don't you worry, forget your cares. It's time for a new celebration at the Excelsior. Everything goes, everything fits. Give back what you stole, you knocks the screw. No need to hurry, there's room to spare. So here's a fabulous start to the Excelsior. Yeah!
Come on, everyone! Come on, group! Inspire! Kalis, woo!
That was wonderful.
What
believe,
production values we have on this stream today?
Have we lost culture? No, there's culture.
Nope.
No, hold just back.
I'm still here.
If anything, our cultural rating's gone up with that beautiful song.
That was incredibly embarrassing, but very, very fun, because I got to throw in there a bit of an intimidation of everything goes, everything fits. Give back what you stole, you noxious group of PG rating. PG rating.
Okay, so I had already awarded stunts and stunt points and things for everybody prior to this whole thing starting. So I, while ordinarily if someone was to present me with something like this, I would give them the 3-point stunt, because what you gonna do? I'm not going to go back on the stunt ruling I already made because you had additional time to prepare for this, and I don't think it's fair on everyone else. If that's okay, Faye?
Oh no,
that was just
I
fun.
just do it because yeah, it's just fun and incredibly embarrassing. And I'm looking at everyone like, is anyone going to clap along? No? Okay. Ooh. So let's see how we do. Group, let's kick
It's a
these
3-point stunt in
guys.
heart.
3-point stunted heart.
is.
In fact, you know what? I will give you the ability to assign a 3-point stunt to anybody else in the group other than yourself for any future action in this session, and it expires this session.
Oh,
Ooh, nice.
So pick when it's
Alright.
needed. I will
Alright.
also give you 2 solar experience for that.
Oh, thank you. Yay. I'll put that on my sheet.
Now, sorry, just give me one quick moment.
So, too much? Just the right amount of much?
I think that was just the right amount of much. Could use a little. Could I though?
Oh,
Sorry, I'm turning that down now.
great. Thank you.
I definitely think it fits. It fits Sagacious hand.
It does.
I thought it was wonderful.
I thought it was really good. I would have cut down slightly on the length, but whatever.
Oh,
That's
it's
a
too
nitpick.
long.
You can't have too much of a good thing.
That's what she said.
Oh, treading close.
Hey,
We are marked
I
as
thought we were
mature.
supposed to be PG.
So you recognize the expression Arthur Shasta has when he's about to go into some sort of long philosophical rant, and you have just stopped that in its tracks. He's just like slack-jawed and somewhat taken aback. I mean, he wanders with a wagon train of wonders, yet that is the last thing that he seemed to be expecting in this situation.
Yeah, Tarala at first seems a little taken aback, but she's gotten used to Hand being doing this before, and when he turns to the group and everything, she joins with the dance, dismounting from her horse with a graceful leap.
Okay, so a lot has happened in this scene. The guards have taken notice. They've started to step forward. The populace have started to sort of crowd around behind. It's almost an impromptu Disney song with a chorus and backup singers and everything. But they don't. You know, they join in the beat and they sort of chant along with the beat and tune that Kalis has set with Sagacious Hand, you know, adding to the production and layering it in over the top of it. And everyone's focus turns to the group of 12 armored men who have crowded around Arthur Shasta as he had first stepped forward in his pet, not really seeming to take much care or worry about them. But now the whole marketplace is turning and facing them. And their leader, a very square-featured man, sans helmet. Everyone else is wearing helmets, he's not. And they're fully armored. It's like full plate. It's ridiculous. Like these guys look like they're set ready for war. And while his initial reaction to Arthur Shasta was to sort of not quite look down his nose at him, but just sort of bully him back, as the whole marketplace turns, you can see his eyes flicker about. He's not afraid, but he is certainly reconsidering. And that's where we'll take our first break today.
Oh. Okay.
Thank you everyone for watching. We're going to take a quick 15-minute break. I'm going to try and make it as quick and concise as possible because we are running a bit behind time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to switch back to our waiting screen, so our voices and mine will be muted, but you'll still be able to hear this wonderful music and our great waiting to start screen. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you very shortly.
the people.
All right, and welcome back, everybody.
Pleasure to be back.
Hooray!
After an interesting and thrilling performance by Sagacious Hands, we're back on. Are my children allowed? I apologize. This man looks... You can see him... His head doesn't move. It's as still as a rock. Very quickly, whoever was just typing, please remember to mute yourself while you're typing.
Sorry about that.
His head is as still as a rock. His body doesn't move, but you can see his eyes sort of just flick to everyone and take in the whole scene. Looks down to Johan. Looks up at Tarala on her horse, flaming eyes and mane. Looks to Sagacious Hand. Looks to Kalis. And then surveys the entire crowd, all just moving his eyes. He takes a step forward towards Arthur Shuster. Shrugs. And holds out the partially rotten fig that he had taken from the stand and sort of just drops it on the ground in front of him. Weren't worth taking anyway. Alright, boys. He gives a hand signal. He spins his finger. Let's get back to work. And they all turn and begin to depart. There's a long moment when they're just sort of slowly walking away. You can tell they're trying to, you know, keep up the austere decorum of themselves, but everyone really knows what went down here in this marketplace this day. And once they're out of sight, the crowd erupts into cheers and thanks. And suddenly the six of you are surrounded by the peasants. Not wanting anything, but they are dirty and filth-ridden. Just not really pouring at you, but sort of just crowding around you. Spewing thanks. It's been so long since someone had stood up for them. They had almost forgotten how to stand up for themselves. And yet here you are, marching into town, audaciously.
Yeah.
You should feel very proud of yourselves. Because you have successfully diffused the situation without resorting to violence and without revealing yourselves, as Exalted, I mean. Everyone please take 2 experience.
Solar experience or normal experience?
Regular experience. If it is solar, I will try and specify.
So Arthur Shasta's obviously seen the ecological problems that they're having in the area. The fields aren't yielding enough. Plants seem to be dying earlier than normal. He will pick up the partially eaten fig that was dropped on the ground, and knowing how hungry everyone around him is, will take a bite out of what remains that's still there and offer to share the rest with someone with him and say, you know, my mother was a farmer. Is there something wrong with your fields? I may be able to do. I don't want to brag, but where we come from, we're renowned for our agriculture and the way that we bring things forth. I might be able to help you in some way.
As soon as you offer services, the peasantry that are here, like around the market stalls area, the people who live here rather than the woes just thronging the streets, catch wind of this offer of help, and they start to move a bit closer. You've proven yourselves, good people, and they don't want to take up too much of your time. You're clearly visiting dignitaries, here for the debutante ball that's going to take place, and you can hear them muttering about it. A few names escape their lips, which is, sorry, one second, Aracea and Nymphaea. Apparently 2 ladies about to be presented to court and join adult society. Clearly you're here for that, and they don't want to take up too much of your time. But if you're offering, and they have this whole list of chores, roofs need thatching, things need repair, stuff needs cleaning, they can look at the fields and all those sorts of things. Any questions you ask about their agricultural state, however, is they don't know what's wrong. As far as they can tell, the ground should be yielding. This used to be a verdant country, but over the last about 10 years, it started first just one crop was a little bit diseased, and then slowly over the course of a decade things just got worse and worse, and soon even the grasses weren't growing. The trees, when they sort of cut them for their wood and they burned them, instead of the sort of rich oaks and maples that they're used to, it's almost ashen. And when they burn it, you can see, as they point up to the sky, everyone's chimney, even those in the castle, are emitting this dark, black, viscous fog. It's almost like what we would see today as fossil fuel pollution sort of stuff. It's black, it's thick. It's not normal, and this has been going on and slowly declining over the last 10 years.
I'd like to sorry, if you actually should I wait till the end of the great text?
No, I was just describing. That's it.
Okay, I would like to roll into call. I want to think back to my days delved in all the many stories that I used to read, and as if that was super long ago, but and as if I still don't. And that's not the point. Back to a particular story, which this sort of reminds me of a town that was cursed, and its wildlife was all cursed to kind of slowly wither away and die. And I'm using that as a stunt, by the way, if that's allowed.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying and see if I think there's any parallels from what's being described now as to said story.
Okay, I'll give you a 1 point stunt.
As Doctor's rolling that, Kalis will say in his voice, what do your shaman say of the problems of you are facing?
That's a good question.
I'm going to spend 4 points of personal, by the way.
Okay, thank you. They describe to you the uncut sheath. Sorry, sheath with an F, not th with a TH. Sheath, the uncut sheath. It's the local religion of sorts. They venerate a particular goddess of or god, should I say, of fertility in these parts, and they've never like had their prayers answered necessarily, but they do know that this god exists, and it doesn't matter how much they pray, what offerings they offer. Even the king himself has taken to, you know, personally turning up to the shrine and you know, begging an appearance or intervention of some kind from this goddess Formica. But she has never appeared before them. And while they have continued their veneration and in fact become even more fervent in their veneration, it doesn't seem to be stemming the tide at all.
What have the kingdom's immaculates done about it?
His kingdom has no immaculates.
Oh, there goes my introduced fact.
No. There's no immaculate station. There's no immaculate stationed here.
Kalis nods as he listens to the various people tell, like, of their religious guidance. Face frowns a bit.
Well, I'm going to go ahead. Denova's going to go ahead and ask for directions to the shrine.
I'd be happy to show you. Heron, I believe you got 9 successes on that roll.
Yes, I did.
Can I ask if you, the player, have any suspicions?
I mean, yes. However, I also have occult 5, and while my lore is only 1, I got to imagine most of the times that it just sounds not normal. But yes, as a player, I do have minor suspicions, but I don't have anything specific in mind.
So, yes. What is happening to this town does seem to resonate with those older stories of that other village that you read about, a village that no longer exists. It's now just, quite literally, a ghost town. As the land and the people fall into despair, the world seems to sink with them until it has nowhere left to go, and the veil between worlds becomes frighteningly thin.
Oh God, Shadowland.
Hey.
Was that your guess?
I mean, honestly, my guess was actually my character was.
You're cutting in and out. Sorry.
Maybe my player guess was more to do with a working, not specifically Shadowland. Though I mean, like you basically said that. Though you didn't use the word, so I wasn't going to use the word.
Okay.
But I can't really confirm anything as of yet. My experiences with the world are still minor. But I quickly take out my big book. I quickly open up my big book and hold it expertly and do a little note of investigate further. This does not sound normal. Parallels to old storybook, ancient mythological village that slowly faded away into nothingness until, the veil between worlds was very thin.
Can I do a roll?
Yes. Do you have a question?
Yes, I want to do a roll, actually.
More information, please.
Denovo has a specialty in ghosts, so I want to do a roll to see if this kingdom is in the process of turning into a Shadowland.
Okay. Intelligence plus occult, and your specialty applies.
All right, I'm gonna pump 3 motes of personal into this to bring my pool up to.
Is this while you're on the way to the shrine?
Yes.
Okay. On that note, whatever it is that you want to do with the peasantry or not do with the peasantry, Righteous Lotus will say that unfortunately her time is short. She needs to make this initial meeting with Marcus, so she will be heading directly to the keep. If anyone wants to go with her, this is your chance. This is your chance to meet up with Marcus and get some initial impressions. Otherwise, there will be a debutante celebration tonight, followed by a large dinner where you can get to know the other people. Once this is all done, then the negotiations will begin. Yes, Kalis.
I will be accompanying the ambassador unless she objects, because I feel like it's only proper that I follow my chieftain's word of advice and attend my responsibility.
No, that's okay.
I'm also going to go with the diplomat because that is why we were asked to come here, is to facilitate her mission. But before we leave, I am just going to point out, I'm going to casually volunteer part of the circus to the peasantry. Just be like, well, I'm sure that resheathing a roof or fixing a porch can't be that much different than stage design. Talk to these like dozen people, and I'm sure they can help you out.
Sagacious Hand, do you have anything to say about that?
You're muted, Faye. You're still muted.
Yeah.
I will be staying behind with them, like with the troop initially. I'm going to be helping. You mentioned that a lot of them looked sickly. We have several medics within the Ebullient Excelsior, so
Yep.
part of the fun is, we're going to be using the elephants to spray water on people and having water fight, like the glitter in the air and the, oh no, you've been hit by an elephant. It just little fun things like that is entertaining, but also giving an ability to have a wash and then maybe be checked out by the medic.
It comes out their noses. Is that
exactly?
Is that something we can Google? Should we check? Is elephant spraying out trunk hygienic?
Well, mucuses. It's hygienic as mucuses.
By peasant standards, sure.
Well, it's probably better than the filth and gunk they're covered with at the moment.
Elephant mucus builds care.
Kalis Kodan will turn to Johan, and I see you are attending the Royal Palace too, my friend. Do you go to a lot of these events? And will you clearly be joining us?
Johan marches ahead of us like he's leading the pack with a jaunty flip of his head. He has a intimacy towards being a bit of a diva, so absolutely he is coming in full force to the regalia.
Rightfully so.
You know that Johan's the dog, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no. And in fact, he's referred to Afrashata as his effectively royal attendant. So I think Kalis may not have a great read on the situation.
Heron, what will you be up to?
I will kind of still look around at the villagers funny, but again, I'm not going to bring up any of my suspicions immediately to anybody.
Okay. Are you going to hang about for the rejuvenation project, or are you going to head up to the palace along with...
To the palace.
To the palace, okay.
Yes.
So only De Novo is going to the shrine. Is that correct?
Looks like.
Okay.
So how did my roll work out? I got 9
Did you
successes.
put in the die roll?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, cool. It's fairly obvious to you that the land here is in
I was going to say, I hadn't decided where I was going to go with yet. I was going to wait to see if Hand had anything where he wanted Tarala working anything specific, or should join the diplomat as a guard or something.
Sagacious Hand is going to express the same concerns that he expressed on the trip, which was that we seem to be heading in a direction that is very close from where we just got you away from. So be careful, but he also knows you can handle yourself. So, he's going to he'll be joining you guys later. He's going to do what he can to talk more to the to the common folk and just get a lay of the land to come up for dinner tonight. So before you make your decision, he's going to ask whether you wish to attend the ball tonight or not.
Tarala is definitely going to attend. She says, yeah, she will attend, but probably in one of her costumes.
I have just the thing. He passes you a box tied up with some very, very fine golden ribbon, and just gives you the nod of the head, and says that he'll meet up with you later with any more information he has.
Okay.
All right. Then she's going to join the others on the way to with the diplomat.
So how did my roll work out?
Sorry, I was getting there. Thank you, She Who Lives the Name, for following. You saw the little thing come up. I like that. That's good. That's working well.
Yay, widgets!
So, yes, De Novo, it is clear that this place is in a state of decay. It's not complete yet. It still has a lot of life left in it. The decline could take another decade or more, unless something drastic happens. But at the moment, this place is in real danger of falling into a Shadowlands.
All right. In that case, as after De Novo leaves the last of the villagers and starts walking in, starts making the final ascent into the shrine, he'll gently start tapping the bells on his sword. Now, these bells usually don't make any sound, but as he starts tapping, small rain starts coming, and he says a little prayer. Come, fallen reaper, come out, and he's going to call his retainer, while also paying 5 motes to activate Spirit Detecting Glance.
Oh dear, that is very creepy.
Remind me of the retainer. Which one are we talking about?
Shiroi.
Ah. As De Novo steps through the doors of the Shrine to Formica, this place is just past the marketplace, where normally the main promenade would bend to your right to lead towards the palace. The shrine is actually set further back, past the residences, towards the rear of the. I'm sorry, I've made it a little bit confusing because Kaldor is both the name of the kingdom and also its capital. So when I say Kaldor, in this instance, I'm referring to the city. The shrine backs the end of past the residences. There's a few winding streets that they lead you down. You can see the level of disrepair around this place, and yet people are helping each other constantly. as you come nearer to the shrine, you can feel the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand, as you know, as you've come to identify with the presence of spirits that aren't necessarily able to be seen. As you ring your bells and call forth the Reaper, one of the incense burners nearby that's sort of letting off soft wisps of smoke just starts to twirl, expand, and come down to the ground next to you, slowly forming one padding foot and then the next, and then finally resolving into a feline form, its twin tails just waving softly behind it, like, you know, like those sort of twin trails of incense smoke behind it. Nobody else can see her, but she walks beside you, as she always has. The shrine itself is set up. This is not really a place for communion, really. It's not a great place of worship. Most of it has been stripped down. Any of the furnishings have been sort of taken down. Even the tapestries have been taken down off the walls and used to provide sort of warm bedding and things for the people in the streets. As you get closer to the temple, you can see these people, you know, wrapped in these what would be like not priceless, but, you know, quite rich tapestries, and they're just, you know, wrapping people on the street in them to keep them warm. The shrine itself is empty. There's no one here at the moment. Just a simple note left on the door for anybody who could read, saying that all of the priests, the uncut sheath is the cult, and they are all currently in attendance at the keep.
I'm going to go in anyway.
That's okay. As I mentioned, inside, all of the furnishings and things are stripped bare. Sorry, one moment. Everything has been stripped bare. The pews and things have all been taken out to form like beds up off the mucky for the ground. Everything has been stripped from this place except the central shrine, and it's at the very rear, flanked by two of those. I don't know if they have an actual name, but, like, you know, those like hanging words. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? It's like a scroll like that wide.
Yes.
And
I'm familiar.
It's written out in. It's written out in calligraphic script of the region's particular dialect of Forest Tongue, and it's just a simple prayer, a constant prayer to Formica. Her full name and bearing, as you would see from this, being Formica, the Vespoid of Cultivation. You know, be with us always and tend always our fields. The shrine itself is quite simple. Just looks like a little hut fronted by a little torii, as you would know from your own areas, and sitting atop. Sitting behind the torii, inside the little hut, is a kabuto. For anyone at home who doesn't know what a kabuto is, it's basically a samurai helmet. It's just a rounded metallic thing and it usually it's dressed up to look like some kind of creature, dragon or Kirin or something fearsome. In this particular case, it's got two bright bronze horns coming up either side at its front, and it's sort of just sitting there almost as a reliquary. The spirit's presence that you felt, however, is not Formica. And when you take that moment to blink and open your eyes to the unseen, you can see, sort of just sitting cross-legged in front of this shrine, is another spirit. It is shaped like a large toad, except that its front and back are sort of surrounded by a tortoise shell. You can see hanging out of the side of its mouth is a large ladle, and yet it burns as if a pipe. He has what would be like a walking staff in the other in his opposite hand, which appears as if a large spoon, sort of just sitting there. And he's just sitting there cross-legged. His Flipper's very... Despite the fact that he's a toad, his flippers can be... They're prehensile. They're like hands. Because spirits, they're cool. You can tell that he's aware of your... Well, it's aware of your presence. But it doesn't seem to take much notice of you. It's just sitting here, smoking on its pipe, staring at the Kabuto.
Denovo is going to keep walking as if he hadn't noticed the spirit. In fact, he's going to very deliberately walk through where it is. And then he's going to come to a stop before the shrine, before the Kabuto, and turn around and nod. I take it you're acquainted.
The spirit takes a long draw on its ladle pipe. Sort of plucks it with one hand and just lets out a big stream of smoke that just fills the room. It has the odd scent of, like, turmeric and aniseed to it. Almost as if it was almost as if he was smoking spices. It just shrugs. Garrett?
Out of curiosity, are you a spirit worshipped in this land?
Shakes its head. Garrett.
Are you familiar with Formica?
Nods its head. Garrett.
Is Formica missing?
Shakes its head. Garrett.
Have you been mistaken for Formica before?
Shakes its head again. Garrett.
The devil tilts his head slightly and looks to Shirai. I had never thought I would admit not speaking frog.
Geru? Who would speak frog?
Ah, so you were just playing a trick on an old man. Very unkind of you.
No trick, I answered your questions, Geru.
Fair enough. I guess I'm the fool then.
Geru, yes!
I'm a foolish old man. It comes of age. Well, for us mortals anyway.
The spirit stands and sort of steps aside so that you're not standing inside it. Just looks you up and down. Knows it doesn't have any sort of weapons or anything that could be considered a weapon. Just sort of looks you up and down, considers you. It's roughly as tall as Kalis, as most spirits tend to be larger than life. and then it sort of offers you its ladle pipe. Care for some weed, Garu?
He shrugs and takes the pipe and the ladle and looks at it. I can't say I've ever smoked a ladle.
It literally just looks like a ladle, with a little pile of sort of ashen, charry stuff, with the wisps of smoke coming off it. It has a strong scent of like cooking spices. Like it almost smells like your mother's kitchen. If I was to be really naff about it, it's homey, earthy, should I say? Sorry, not earthy. It's almost ratatouille. Not quite flashback inducing, but it's that sort of sensual flavor.
Denova looks up at the frog and tilts his head. Well, as an old man, I can't help but ask, can I smoke this in the same fashion you were?
Well, of course. What should stop you? Unless you're afraid. Get her.
Afraid of looking silly or anything else. Denova smiles and puts the ladle in the tip in his mouth the same way the frog had it. See? Quite silly.
Not silly at all, Geru. Quite refined, Geru. All the rage in the heavens, Geru.
Can't say I've ever been to the heavens. Not sure I'd be quite welcome there. He blows air into his mouth along the side of the ladles in as if to imitate the smoking action.
As in you're blowing, not sucking? Because we're a mature, we're a mature channel here.
Okay, you get what I'm doing.
You're trying to pretend to smoke it rather than actually smoke it.
Well, yes, if it was possible to actually smoke it, he would be doing it, but he thinks he's probably not going to smoke a thing.
Okay.
And
this spirit seems to watch with some amount of amusement, and then puts its hand out to take its ladle back.
The noble smiles and hands back the ladle. In all seriousness, do you happen to know why these lands are transitioning into a Shadowland? I'm rather curious why Formica seems quite content to allow her domain to fall to the underworld.
The frog tortoise thing just shrugs. Geru, not my department. Not my care, not my worry. I'm here for other things.
And what is your department? What are your worries? I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Not exactly classified, Geru, but foreign affairs, Geru? How about you?
A wandering priest wondering what he's been praying to for all his life. Not far less interesting, I'll be honest with you.
Geru, oh, your prayers are heard, I can guarantee you that. Keep at it, though. There's a lot to be fixed around here for a priest. Sort of nods and turns and just saunters away.
One last question, if you would.
He pauses. Not turning, though, like doing that dramatic anime. My back is turned, but my eyes sort of just barely see you.
If I were to look for the highest spiritual authority in this kingdom, where would an august ambassador such as yourself point this lowly priest to?
Go. You just missed your chance. And now he does leave.
The noble tilts his head and turns to
Correct.
Shiroi. Yes, I heard correct. So that was a very important frog. What was your read on him?
Full of himself. But not wrong. No, not wrong at all.
A very important frog.
Shall I takes a few pads forwards, get a closer taste?
No. You didn't have a weapon, but he probably has one. We'll try frog legs another day.
If you wish. In the marketplace, Sagacious Hand, how long are you hanging around with your circus, making sure everything, or the Ebullient Excelsior, making sure that everything is okay? I can't hear you.
I'm going to hang around for about an hour, making sure that just that everything is getting settled, doing the introductions. I'd like to, from the Inspire actions of earlier that everyone has worked on, to try and instill an emotion of hope. And if one is pre-existing, then to use the Inspire actions to increase it, just to try and build some hope up. I'm only going to spend about an hour or so doing these actions with people. I'm going to trust it to my staff, leaving Ilya, my retainer, and the production manager in charge of anything if they need me to come and get me. And I will be heading towards the castle. But I'm going to take my time, because I have a charm that is called Stalking. One moment. Stalking Shadow Spirit. And it'll take upwards of an hour to basically I survey an area, like having a look at all the shadows in the area, the nooks and crannies, the ways people may hide, and in doing so, I make a wits and stealth roll, which I can then use to add those to any future stealth rolls, because I have kind of Matrix-like figured out the lay of the land. So I have rolled already in the dice roller and gotten 7 successes. I am using an excellency to boost this, and the charm itself is mute. Once that, based on how long you would say that will take to complete, my intention is to do the entire castle grounds on my way up into it. So I'm assuming upwards of a month. I will stop and make sure I am there with my personal tailor well before it's time to get to the ball.
Okay. Before I forget, I do have everyone's sheet, but I haven't looked at every single charm people have picked up. Does anyone have the introductory solar investigation charm?
I do.
You do.
I definitely don't.
So I actually
No, you
left a
filthy
couple charms
dragon-blooded.
blank because there is the custom charm I wanted to talk to you about that we did briefly talk, but I never got back to you on because I'm amazing at this game.
All right.
We'll deal with that outside the session.
So for the moment, just Arthur Shuster? Okay, cool. Looks like Hand's been busy looking after the Velklings, so... Or are you back now? Okay, cool. So... Many hands make light work. Sorry, they're making a lot of noise around. Many hands make light work, and it doesn't take long for the craftsmen of the Ebullient Excelsior to sort of spread through the city and just start fixing things, making them better. After about 40 minutes or so,
Ilya.
Ilya comes up to you with a report, basically, just letting you know the things that have happened. Some roofs have been thatched, carts have been fixed, and all those sorts of things. You know, the apothecary's garden has been cleaned. But the apothecary itself seems to be abandoned. There's no one there. The apothecary's gone. As far as the peasants say, you know, the apothecary actually died relatively recently, a few months ago. Not years, a few months ago. But basically everything's cleaned up. They should have the place ship shape in, you know, under 2-3 days.
Okay.
If they dedicate themselves to trying to fix this place up, which will mean no performances for a few days.
Oh, okay. Is there a way? And it's that the gleam in the eye. Is there a way that we can make the very fixing up a performance? Say the thatching of the roof is the weaving of the ribbons as one acrobats, the next perhaps making some pergolas now made out of interspersed ribbons between houses. No longer will people have to walk in the rain. There's now this colourful banners, and he starts describing, instead of it just being a roof hatched, that it's the entire thing is hatched with acrobats moving from one side to the other, interspersing things, so the fixing of itself is a performance. It'll take a little bit longer, but then the performance never stops, and that feeling of hope and joy also doesn't stop, and that sense of cooperation. Is that possible? How much overtime would I need to pay?
She looks down at her list and looks up at you. Then she pauses for a moment and seems to turn as if hearing something off in the distance. Of course it's possible.
Thank you very much. But I actually do have one question.
Yes.
If the apothecary died a few months ago, I take it no one's been getting any medicine? Was the garden particularly overgrown? It sounds like it was a rather large chore.
Yes, it was rather overgrown. A lot of weeds, things. A lot of the useful herbs had been choked out by the other herbs or plants that would normally be used as would normally be considered weeds, but are nonetheless used medicinally. A lot of the dried herbs sort of hung up about, are just collecting dust. There are a few hangers which were empty, but nothing particularly missed. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Is there anything else that you might need me for in the meantime?
No, Sand. I think we've got everything sorted here. The striking ball peen will be awash with the challenge.
Excellent. Well, like always, you know, should you need to find me, Kagia will first. I'll catch you later, Ilva.
She visibly winces at the bad joke before you leave.
Out of character, I feel like that's something really important to do with a herb garden, and I have no... Any suggestions, people? Should I look at this herb garden on the way past? I am not
Definitely.
a specialist in botany.
Do you have a specialist in botany?
Yeah,
Actually, I have an idea. I would actually like to go look past this thing and see what's in there, and if there are any nice flowers, as in one that you could make into a bouquet. So yeah, Sagacious Hand would like to pass by this place on the way. Out of all the weeds that were choking out everything, maybe there's some weeds that at least look pretty.
There's some hanging lavender, dried. I'm not personally totally au fait with everything in an apothecary shop, so there would be some what we would consider common flowers that are hanging dried, used medicinally for various purposes. The main one that comes to mind is lavender.
Okay. I grab some of that. And there's no apothecary to pay, so I just take it.
As you finish up what you're doing, you're heading back to the keep.
Yes, and going to do my surveying of shadows and such.
Surveying of shadows.
My stealth charm. That's an interesting song.
I'm sorry, did I miss something? I think I have.
It's very fitting.
There's a charm called Stalking Spirit Attitude or something, and I am using an excellency, and I am surveying the kingdom grounds on the way. You just tell me how many hours it has taken, and I am gathering the like a matrix-like understanding of every shadow and every corner that I can hide in. That
right.
My successes rolled on this adds to any stealth roll made in the area.
Okay, cool.
So, yep. That's it.
So did you make your roll for that already, or are you going to do that now?
Yes, I have, and I rolled 7 successes.
Okay, cool. Keep that in mind. When you... Wow, there's a lot going on over this end. When you eventually arrive at the keep, it gets very dramatic. The butler essentially is there to greet you, along with the house guard. And basically they ask you who you are. Who?
The guards?
Yeah. Well, the butler. Like the guards are flanking him, yeah. And who may I say is...
Hand.
the...
Sagacious hand of the ambulant Excelsior.
Yes, your party was waiting for you. If you just would like to step inside and go to the drawing room on the right side of the first floor, they would be happy to meet up with you again, sir.
He gives a nod of greeting and continues to get himself lost, continuing to survey every single corridor of this place as he investigates, snoops.
Okay, if you go anywhere other than the drawing room immediately, the guards will try to stop you. So if you want to continue surveying, you will have to do so discreetly. I would like a dexterity plus stealth roll, please, and I will give you a +1 bonus. As in,
nice.
a 1 point bonus, stunt.
Okay, just give me 1 sec. Dexterity and stealth, plus a, how much? 1 point stunt, was it?
1 point stunt.
Okay. This is not a misdirection, so my specialty doesn't come into account. There we go.
Okay. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Okay.
Once you have finished surveying, you're able to find ways in and around the guards. You're able to make your way through the palace virtually, and not unseen but unmolested. You appear to fit in. You walk with purpose. You're dressed like a noble. Like, you know, nobles know where they're going. You know, servants very rarely question where they are unless they're somewhere, you know, extremely out of place. But you're able to countenance them enough to say, you're like, how dare you question me, without being overly offensive or anything like that. So they just accept you. You're able to case the entire area, not the whole castle, but enough of the area to help you out in your future stealthy endeavors. Before making your way to the drawing room, where you find Righteous Lotus sitting, looking rather exasperated, surrounded by the rest of your friends. As it happens, as you're entering, you've come in immediately after De Novo.
Ah.
Oh, I'll wave over her.
You what, sorry?
I'll wave over the hand.
You wave?
To hand, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay, cool. So
Hand-
now we're just gonna...
Hand stops, looks behind him, looks back, looks behind him again, pats himself down, points at you, points at him.
Giant frog. He says, pointing to where the frog is.
The frog is surveying the place, not taking much notice of you.
Oh,
But-
Beautiful stops and says, giant frog, spirit.
But
Well, turtle spirit.
we're going to jump to the other group now. So, about an hour ago, you're led down the large promenade towards Caldor Keep. Again, when you reach the door and you sort of climb down off your mounts or whatever, they're not able inside. You will be allowed inside with your weapons if you have anything that is obviously a weapon, but you will be asked to relinquish it at the door for safekeeping. Does anyone other than Tarala's enormous blade have anything that is very obviously a weapon?
Enormous rusty
I'm gonna attach my leash to Johan and try and pass it off as just his collar and bleed and not an actual whip.
Okay.
I have 2 knives on me, but they would be concealed beneath my cloak, and I wouldn't really be going to them. But like, if I was asked for the weapons, I would just give them up.
Okay, so they don't sort of ask everyone to hand over the weapons, but if they see anything obvious, they'll ask you to put it aside in storage whilst you're inside the keep. It will be returned to you afterwards.
So when Kalis approaches, he's wearing his gladiator outfit, and also there's loads of like stereotypical, like noticeable weapons on there. He doesn't know how to use them, but they don't know that. So he's probably got his trident like on his back. He's got a net hanging off one point, like a sword that's probably, quite blunted and shiny for the crowds. So he starts like looking a little bit sheepish, but just like starts unclipping all the weapons and be like putting them on the counter. And these are quite oversized, obviously, to be like size appropriate for Kalis. So it's sort of like probably fill the counter where they wanted them placed.
Anyone else?
He's retaining hold of its ultimately useful shoe, which will now be collapsed down as he's not using it to perform.
I would just give my knives in.
Okay.
There's no reason for me to hide them and keep them and be all suspicious and stuff. If I got caught with them, then I'd be in real trouble, right? And I'm getting them back afterwards, so.
Yeah, they promise. Pinky.
Yeah, they promised, guys. Okay?
I'm hesitant. That's because of what this thing is, given
Yeah.
the weapon, what it is. I hand it to them, and as they're like, I just make the request. Can I see where it's being stored, just so I know it's being kept safe? This is a keepsake, something. It's important.
You're actually handing it to them?
No. I didn't know they were. I thought they were taking the weapons.
No, I'm asking if you were handing the weapon to them and then saying, "Can I see where you're storing it?"
Yes.
Okay.
She just wants to be sure that it's kept safe. And I know it doesn't look like much. Pass down.
Yeah, it looks like an enormous prop because you're a little girl. And the butler, who's probably like 58 or something, just puts out his hands, and then as soon as you let go, it's like, oh. Very good, madam.
Here, let me get that. Just
Madam should not be forced to carry her own luggage. If you would like, I can...
Oh no, it's quite all right, as she's literally holding it one-handed.
Very well, madam. If you would follow me. He sort of just turns and walks. It's not very far away. It's like there's a small set of stairs behind a servant's door, and he sort of just leads you down. And there's just like this big. It's essentially like a coat rack armory locked behind a like iron grate sort of thing, and you can see that there are some other weapons here as well. Some of them quite sort of fancy looking, something that would be like a dress saber for a noble or things like that. So you can see that there are other people who have come here who have handed over their things. He unlocks it with this giant ring, like this giant iron key that's almost as big as his hand, and you can hear the lock sort of just creak as it he opens it up. And he's having a little bit of trouble, but he does it, and then sort of just gestures inside for you to take whatever that is and put it somewhere safe.
Very well. She does so, and while her back is to them, she is going to activate a charm for a certain someone who is probably going to meet up with them later. Let me get the information on this.
Okay.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
How dare you do exactly what I asked you to do? And he attacks you.
No, she speaks into the wind, sending her voice afar, subtle currents of air. She sends a quick message out to her essence in miles, which I'm assuming hand is within 2 miles of here.
Yes.
And basically the message is they've taken our equipment. It's stored. If you make your way in and can somehow, I don't know, abscond with it back to me, I would appreciate it. And she then whispers another one. These are both coming from with the where it is, like the location of the room.
Okay.
All right, noted. I'm already wandering around. I'll find it.
Yep.
Is that personal essence you're spending?
Yep, 3 months
Okay.
personal, and no one who mundane means cannot hear this.
Okay.
If somebody is using magical means,
Nice.
they have to overcome a difficulty of 3, which is my essence plus my linguistics.
Okay, cool. After your weapons things are unloaded, again, the butler lets Kalis sort of take off his various accoutrements and pile them down in whatever way he seems fit. He leads you all back upstairs, locking the gate behind him. Yes, Kalis.
I don't consider my ultimate usefully tube as a weapon. Do you think that's appropriate? I see it more as like my instrument and my fleet.
Does
Is
Kalis
that
consider it a weapon?
appropriate? I don't think he would. But
It's
I
essentially
guess
just a little pipe, so they're not going to question it if you hold on to it.
No. I just wanted to make sure, because like Ellis is very honest. So, do you think it's right that he doesn't consider it a weapon?
Has he ever used it as a weapon?
I don't know. I don't think he would have really.
Then he
it's
probably
got the
wouldn't consider
improvised
it a
tag
weapon.
as well.
He
as
could
well,
use it
hasn't
as a
So-
weapon, but he hasn't so far.
Yeah.
So I'll say that's fine. I mean, you punch people. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's
like, if
pretty
you
much-
really wanted to be that honest, you would sit in this room yourself.
Oh yeah, actually, like he might actually. Do you need me to sit in room? I am considered quite a difficult opponent. I have been in the Nexus arena. I don't know what's happening with my accent. I apologize.
No, that won't be necessary, sir. If you would come this way, I will take you to the drawing room, where you will be led into the library, where you can meet with the good king and the good prince in a private affair of your own.
I am glad I am not meeting Bad King. That would be unfortunate. Good King sounds good. Kalis will knock him a smile. and kind of laugh at his own little joke.
Perish
In
the
Nexus,
thoughts.
In Nexus, they call that a play on words. Good joke, huh?
If Sir deems it so, yes.
Yes, we're not smugly to himself. He does the Invictwitch.
Assuming Taralis is there, she pats him there. I thought it was funny.
Maybe I should talk to Hand about getting my own act. Another one.
So to the drawing room, sirs and ladies, if we will.
Tarala gives a nod, a sort of a nod bow, and sort of thing she's used to handling like nobility and things like. She carries herself like a noble.
Going back up the stairs seems to really tire this butler. Like, you could tell by the way he was talking before, if he has to put more than maybe a sentence and a half into one breath, he starts running out, which is why the ends of his sentences start to sound constrained. He's puffing by the time he gets to the top. His face is a bit red, but he tries very hard to make no show of his exhaustion and does a terrible job of it. And anyone with at least 1 point in socialize would know that pointing this out to this man he might consider it an insult. If you don't have any dots to socialize, then you don't know that.
Kalis will whip out his ultimately useful tube, fully extend it, and try and use it to help funnel air to him.
What?
You said he was out of breath and struggling?
Yeah.
Breathe? He's going to use the ultimately useful tube because it can be used like as a snorkel and like.
You're going to blow into his mouth with it.
He's going to use it so it can help him breathe, like when they use a paper bag or something to like breathe. He's just going to like configure it so it can help with his breathing.
If you offer it to him, he's not going to take it. Are you going to stick it in his mouth?
No, he's not going to like. He'll be like, oh.
Fine. So it is the duty of the serving staff to manage any toil, sir. And he gets to the top. He just takes a. If sirs and ladies would follow me, and just sort of wanders off. Not wanders off. He leads you. Now, where he takes you is to your left. A big set of oaken doors open. This is a drawing room, but you're in a castle keep, so it's actually quite large. There's a small sort of buffet of snacks sort of just out. There's several footmen around, sort of just standing around, who should just pick up the trays and start milling about you. There's 2 footmen with drinks. There is like a light fizzy wine on offer. There's also water in the corner. And a deeper red drink also on offer. Everything's in these sort of crystalline glasses and these wonderful silver bowls. From the looks of the inside of this castle, you see none of the dilapidation that is so readily evident everywhere else in the kingdom. It's almost as if you've been transported to another world.
Kalis, seeing that there's a large bottle, did you say? And drinks around it?
Not
like little glasses?
Not a bottle, but so if you want anything, the serving staff have it on platters and they're walking around offering it to you.
Okay, I was going to take how sometimes they have the champagne bottle with the glasses around. I was going to take the champagne bottle because it's probably more size appropriate for Kalis.
There is one sitting on a buffet table at the side, but if you move towards it, the serving staff are very good at sort of making their presence known, and as you reach for it, they've sort of picked it up and said and gestured to the glasses. It's not. In fact, it's not a bottle. It's a decanter. Sorry, so it's like a large crystalline jug. Everything's being decanted into separately, of course.
Taylor's will like look dejected at the small like glass as he holds it between his thumb and finger. Shrug a little bit, like knock one back, and then take another one and knock a couple of them down. This is good, huh?
I would like to make a subtle but impactful entrance. I'm not going to do anything as over the top as Sagacious Hand might do, but I will sort of like catwalk stroll through the door holding my leash attached to Johan, but to make sure as many people notice, I will have Johan subtly, he won't exhale any fire from his mouth, but he will cause it to like chamber in his open jaw just to create a brief moment of illumination and light that kind of just catches people's attention, just so that they are naturally drawn to turn and look as I come waltzing in. And I would like to try and make an instill action of everyone to have a intimacy of impression, like everyone is impressed with me.
Okay, the average resolve in the room is 2. So if your appearance gives you bonuses on that, do so. And roll your action.
Sorry to
like
be the negative Nancy of the room, but isn't social influence against a group of people at like a -2 penalty?
-3.
Isn't that interesting? Because I believe that 3-die stunt is now being awarded to your sexy self right now.
And still, I am the hotness.
A 3-point stunt. Okay, so this means that Arthur Shuster gets a bonus 2 dice, a bonus 2 successes, and a bonus willpower that can exceed his maximum. Which means you've already met the difficulty. So you can roll if you like, but you have already succeeded, and they're not going to spend willpower on it.
Are you aiming this at us, Culture Shock, as well?
Oh yeah, it's everyone. It's everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to do that separately then.
Not resisting. I already like him.
What was the intimacy?
That I'm impressive.
Yeah. Can I also take that for Johan as well? It's kind of stealing Johan's thunder here, buddy.
I will let you change it as Johan's handler is an okay guy.
A quick sidebar, Kel. How are you going on time?
Actually, I've got just a few minutes, and I was actually going to ask a quick thing to set up possibly for when we do the next session.
Okay.
This is like the drawing room and a waiting room, but I heard like at the beginning like it was a waiting before you led into the next chamber. That is with the private meeting.
Yeah. So this is like a drawing room with serving staff around, and you will be taken into the next room afterwards.
The next room after.
They're not quite ready for you yet.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, would we have any way of knowing if he's meeting with anybody else already?
You don't know that for certain, and the serving staff won't ask you unless you socially influence them to.
Well, actually, I'm just gonna go make use of this just to kind of see, because I'm nosy and terrible. I am going to go toward where the wall is, like the wall to the next room is, lean up against it, and spend 5 motes personal, and that wall is effectively not there as far as me listening to anything going on, as I have deep listening palm.
Okay. What element is this charm?
That charm is water element. Or no, earth element. Earth element, yes.
Okay. So to close out this session, could you please give me a description of how you're taking command of the element of water to...
Not water, earth.
Earth to accomplish this.
All right. Tarala, having learned a few tricks outside of her own element, draws upon the nature of the stonework, the stonework of the castle grounds and everything, placing her hand against it as she leans against the wall, and just kind of takes a few moments to strum her fingers against it, feel the vibrations, and then until in her head the vibrations are gone and she just feels like she's strumming air. And the earth itself just become the earthling works in stone just become another just like air to her.
The voice you hear on the other side of this wall is deep and grand. It resonates very low. It's almost a complete match for the earth essence that you're manipulating right now. It's that sort of deep-seated, resonant, almost commanding voice. Jonathan.
All right.
Please don't be such a prick. End session.
That was a good way.
Beautiful end.
Thank you, Elgash.
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much for
Oh my
everyone who's watching. Thank you very much for sticking with us through our earlier technical difficulties. We seem to have gotten most of them sorted out. I was messing with the chat, so now it does a nice little fade effect. Yay, I'm getting more professional by the moment. I'll let everyone say a very quick personal goodbye because Keltamer does need to go. It is past the middle of the night and he has work tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching. I'll let everyone say goodbye.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
For watching, everyone. Have a good night, and hope to see you next week.
Thanks, guys, for logging in and watching us. Hope you had a good time.
I lied. I won't be here next week. I just straight lied to the audience. I'm a liar, guys. You can hit me.
You
forever. That's okay.
deceptive evil man.
That's a shame. I wanted to talk to Marcus too. Oh, crap baskets. I'll talk to you about it over the week.
This is going to be very fun. I look forward to meeting both Marcus and Jonathan. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, folks.
A quick personal goodbye.
Hello, everyone. We're signing off.